Welcome back to Brands Hatch, and under glorious skies we see the second of our two UK Radical Cup races heading out onto the circuit. Derek Johnson lines up on the pole position in the green car with the white flashes. Ben Jackson alongside him. Row 2 is Roger Bromley and Terence Woodward, and on row 3 we see the first of the Super Sports class cars in the hands of Colin Noble and Phil Abbott respectively. A rolling start once more for the Radical UK Cup, and as the safety car pulls off, the cars head towards the line with Derek Johnson sitting there on the pole position. They rocket away. Ben Jackson going side by side, trying to go right the way around the outside on the run up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time goes Ben Jackson. He makes it through as well, grasps the lead of the race from Derek Johnson, who sits there in second position. It looks as though it's Terence Woodward up the inside in the number 88 car as we ride on board with Roger Bromley, who's just been pushed down to 4. Down the hill in towards Graham Hill Bend they come. Radical SR8 powered by the 2.6 litre PowerTech engine. Sound absolutely glorious. Pucker race cars as well they are. Down the Cooper Straight for the first time, with Ben Jackson trying to do what he can and sprint away in the lead of the race. Derek Johnson, I'm sure, will keep him very honest indeed. Just heading through shot there was the number 19 car in the hands of Tom Ashton. Gary Kay not out in the car for this race. He's encountered an eye problem over the weekend, and therefore Tom Ashton will do the 45 minutes on his own. Through they go over the start-finish line. With Ben Jackson still pressing on. The lead of the Super Sports class just comes through as well. Colin Noble, Tom Ashton and the number 42 car that's driven by Ross Allen, all side by side, all squabbling for the lead of the class currently. Colin Noble still fending off the intentions of all those behind. Also, watch out for number 11 picking his way through the order as well. Jamie Patterson, having had problems with the car yesterday, started further down the grid than he would have wished. We're on board with Ross Allen looking at exactly that car ahead. Well, for the moment, Ben Jackson still there in the lead of the race. Derek Johnson getting very close to him, trying to pick his way through McLaren, and on towards Clark Curve they come. Derek Johnson's going to run side by side and takes the lead of the race this time, coming out of Clark Curve. And now Ben Johnson will be very much watching his mirrors, trying to fend off the attentions of Ben Jackson, who, given any opportunity at all, will try and steal the lead of the race back, I'm sure. Terence Woodward it is that sits there in third place. The top three not covered by a great deal, all of them having to work very hard indeed. Don't forget we've still got the pit stop window to come as well. There goes Roger Bromley through in fourth position, and the Super Sports class leader Colin Noble in fifth place is being caught by Jamie Patterson in the sole SR8 LM that we have in the field. Down through Graham Hill Bend they come as our race leaders pick their way up the latter parts of the Cooper Straights and on towards Surtees once more. Colin Noble in that white and Dayglow car heads through screen with Jamie Patterson still keeping him honest. Further down through the field we see Don Patterson very much under pressure from the number 7 car, the all yellow car. That's in the hands of Tony Freeman for this race. Duncan Williams not with us here today. He drove the car yesterday, but Tony Freeman on his own for this second of the two races. Well, number 11 has made it through. Jamie Patterson has gained a place, and therefore up to fifth position now comes Jamie Patterson, having dispensed with the Super Sports class leader, number 45 Colin Noble. Also Tom Ashton not that far behind him as well. Down the hill from Druids in towards the braking area for the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend they come. As our race leaders still continue to press on. The front three looking fairly equidistantly spread, with Roger Bromley going through in fourth position. And here once more comes Tony Freeman. Over the start-finish line goes Roger Bromley under pressure from Jamie Patterson, who's made it through. So Jamie Patterson picking his way through from what for him was the fifth row of the grid, now finds himself up into fourth position and is going very well indeed. The car failed on him yesterday. So far today it's gone very well. Up the inside, gained a place there. Here's Charles Lockerham as he slowly picks his way through and ahead of Nick Barrow in the number 99 car. He's circulating further down through the order. A black flag having gone out for somebody, and it looks as though it must be the number 25 car into the pits. Well, Richard Ferns has had no luck at all this season. Retirement very early on in the race at Rockingham. Black flag and problems no doubt with the car in this race. Fingers crossed he'll make it back out onto the circuit and they'll be able to readdress whatever the problem may be. However, now once more under pressure comes Derek Johnson. He's lost the lead of the race coming out of Paddock Hill Bend. Ben Jackson back into the lead of the race once more. Derek Johnson down into second position. Well, the Radicals have provided some excellent racing over the last few years in the Radical UK Cup. Certainly the sharp end of the Radical ladder, particularly in the UK. We do have the Euro Cup as well, and a lot of those drivers do spend their time racing either in the UK Cup or the Euro Cup. Here comes Colin Noble once more. He's very much still under pressure for the lead of the Super Sports class. Number 42, Ross Allen, right on the rear end of that car, and Ross Allen diving up the inside as they get to McLaren. Up the inside he goes. Colin Noble has no choice but to just to run the car that little bit wider than he would have wished. So through into the lead of the class goes Ross Allen. With now Colin Noble trying to re-attack once more as they come over the start-finish line. They dive up towards Paddock Hill Bend. There's no opportunity for Colin Noble to pick his way back into the lead of the class there. And therefore, he'll have to follow Ross Allen as they head up towards Druids Corner. Number 71 just coming through as well. That's the car that's currently third in the Super Sports class, in the hands of Phil Abbott, co-founder of Radical Sports Cars. Well, the drivers now starting to get ready. The pit stop window will be very fast upon us. There's just 3 laps in which all the cars must come into the pits. Oh, and here they all come. In comes Derek Johnson to hand over to the very, very rapid Stuart Mosley. We saw Stuart take race victory with Derek Johnson in the race earlier on today. We're on board with Roger Bromley as he comes into the pits. He'll dive out of the car and hand it over to the very rapid Rob Weldon. Out of the car he jumps. Into the car we will see Rob Weldon dive and then back out onto the circuit. They will very quickly go. Into the pits comes our race leader Ben Jackson, car number 27. Very, very busy pit lane as Charles Lockram picks his way down through the pits as well to hand over to Paul Thomas. Stuart Mosley back out on circuit, bound for Le Mans next weekend. He heads out onto the circuit. And if anything, it looks as though they've had a quicker pit stop than some of those that they were circulating with. Rob Weldon, having taken over the car from Roger Bromley, heads out onto the circuit as well. Stuart Mosley will try and get his head down and charge away. Up towards Paddock Hill Bend he goes. We do see some very, very rapid pairings in the Radical UK Cup. And it looks as though a slower stop from Ben Jackson, only now just making his way out of the pit, so a much, much slower stop from Ben Jackson. Stuart Mosley already out on circuit. And looking at the Super Sports class battle as well, that continues with Colin Noble still having to fend off the attentions of number 42. This time it's James Saggers that's at the wheel, the former British GT racer. Over the start-finish line they all thread their way. Very close indeed it gets at Clark Curve as they try and continue with their battle, as diving through and gaining a place goes Rob Weldon, picking his way back up the order as well following the pit stops. Colin Noble leading the race as things stand and diving up the inside, gaining a place. By the look of things, tries to go Rob Weldon. He's made it through. So Rob Weldon, another place gained for him. The quicker at Radical SR8, passing the SR3. It's a number 71 car in the hands of Ross Edwards. They currently lead the Super Sports class following the pit stops. And there's Tom Ashton, number 19, all out on his own in this one. Running well at the moment is Tom Ashton. Just outside of the top 6, however. He wants to try and pick his way past the car of Tony Freeman that sits ahead of him on the road if at all he can. The 2 Radical PR6s, very evenly matched around the twists and turns of the 1.2 mile Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Up towards Druids, Tom Ashton applying the pressure to Tony Freeman. As yet he hasn't quite been able to thread his way through, and yet more bad luck for Richard Ferns. Into the pits again for Richard Ferns. Now whether that was a stop-go penalty because of potentially pit lane speeding remains to be seen, but Richard Fern, his disastrous 2009 season has continued, and that is the car of Stuart Mosley. On fire it is on the exit of Graham Hill Bend. The safety car comes out as a result, so the car that won the race earlier on certainly will take no further part in this one. Stuart out of the car and he's okay. The Radical, however, the SR8, certainly not in the condition that it was at the start of the race. Safety car back in. We're about to go racing once more here, and as they head towards the start finish line we ride on board with Rob Weldon. He's picking his way past some of the lapped cars on the run up towards Paddock Hill Bend. The car that's sitting ahead of him on the road is one of the faster Super Sports cars. Ben Jackson still continues to lead. He's very much now under pressure from Ross Kaiser, who's taken over the number 88 car from Terence Woodward. Ross Kaiser, a very, very rapid racer indeed. As the Super Sports class battle still continues as well. Just heading through screen now is the number 71 car in the hands of Ross Edwards. As Ross Kaiser dives up the inside of the race leader. Ben Jackson almost caught napping as they went round through McLaren. And Ross Kaiser took no second opportunity at all. Up the inside he went, grabbed the place away. Ben Jackson down into second position. The car that sits there right behind him is the car that is driven at the moment by Rob Weldon. And as they dive through Surtees on towards McLaren once more, we can see the replay. No second opportunity needed for Ross Kaiser. Through he went. Almost made room for himself there. Ben Jackson down into second place, now very much coming under pressure from Rob Weldon, who tries to draw alongside, can't quite managed to do so on the run out of Paddock Hill Bend. Tries to do the same now on the run up towards Druids. Around the outside he tries. He'll try and cut back to the inside on the exit. And as they head down the hill in towards Graham Hill Bend once more, Ben Jackson doing a very good job of fending off, or can he? Alongside him he is as they head down the Cooper Straight, and it looks as though they've just about snuck through and gained the place. Roger Bromley and Rob Weldon. Rob Weldon at the wheel, gains a place over the start-finish line, and claiming race victory comes the pairing of Terence Woodward and Ross Kaiser. Ross Kaiser bringing the car home with that audacious overtaking manoeuvre. Over the start-finish line in second place was Rob Weldon, but he will be classified down in fourth place. So it's Ben Jackson that comes through in second. The Super Sports class battle for second and third place has contact on the final corner between Colin Noble and the number 42 car driven by James Saggers. Colin Noble goes through and claims second in the class on the road. Whether James Saggers will be promoted and sorted out as a result of that remains to be seen. And we can replay that incident. Colin Noble getting very close to the rear end of James Saggers as they came into McLaren for the final time. There's the slightest amount of contact, both hands in the air whilst the car is still spinning from James Saggers. It's perhaps not the wisest thing. Colin Noble goes through, but it's Woodward and Ross Kaiser that claim the race victory. Ben Jackson second, Phil Abbott and Ross Edwards come through and claim the Super Sports class in third position. Colin Noble was demoted down to sixth as a result of his contact. A delighted Terence Woodward and Ross Kaiser stand proudly atop of the podium. Their first victory of 2009.
Yeah, it's a great result. You know, we've had a bit of a tough season so far. We've had a few reliability issues, but the guys have worked really hard in the team. Got to thank Tim and the lads. They've really worked their socks off. And today, with a few setup changes, we had a car that was a bit more competitive.
You had a bit of passing to do, but you had the pace.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, straight out of the pit stop, we have to get our heads down and try and gain back if we've got anyone in front. And then with the safety car coming out, really played into our hands. So, yeah, I had to get past Ben. I could see Rob wasn't too far behind, so we couldn't be tussling too long, otherwise it would have been a three-way die. So I managed to get past Ben and then just get a little gap to get a bit of breathing space and relax in the last few laps.
So Derek Johnson leads the Masters class from Roger Bromley and Stuart Mosley, and in the Super Sports class, it's Colin Noble that heads the championship.